What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another movie review. I'm Chase Lee, and the movie I want to take a look at right now is The Invisible Man. Now, this one comes from Universal Pictures. It is written and directed by Leigh Whannell, and this one stars Elizabeth Moss as Cecily, and at the beginning of the film, she leaves an abusive relationship, and as time passes on, her ex commits suicide, leaving a giant fortune in her name. And while all this is going on, she feels like she's being stalked by a presence, like there's something always watching her, and so she feels like it is the spirit or ghost of her ex, since her ex was really controlling and abusive. She feels like he is making her life a misery, even beyond the grave, and nothing can be seen. She just feels like there's just something there doing something. And, we can physically see it with like butt imprints in the chair and, certain footprints on the floor. But when she tries to tell people this, they think she's crazy. But then we start diving into the third act. But I'm not going to say any more because I want you guys to experience this with an audience and experience it for the first time, not knowing anything, because it is a joy and pleasure, just entertaining watch, especially with all the little twists and turns. So, going into this film, a couple of reasons why I was excited. One, I like me some Blumhouse movies. I like mostly what he puts his name on. Yes, I'm aware that there's some movies that are bad. I'm not going to sit here and say he's perfect, but I do like when a Blumhouse movie comes out. And I like Leigh Whannell as a writer and director. I've always been a fan of this guy ever since he did the first Saw. I always thought him and James Wan would accelerate into new heights with their career just from that movie. Now, James Wan's going a little faster than Leigh, but Leigh has had a consistent career, and that is nothing to scoff at. But, he directed his first film with Insidious Chapter 3, and then he did Upgrade, which was also really great. I like Insidious Chapter 3 as well. So he's on a hot streak right now. And I think with this movie, with the hype train that was forming while going into this, everyone was loving this thing. I think it's going to kill at the box office. For me to say this, I'm going to jump on that hype train. I think this movie is going to do very well at the box office. And Leigh, if you're listening to this review, your career is going to jump 2 times faster. And God bless you, sir. It's going to get crazy and hectic because this movie is going to put you to new heights. Finally, you deserve it because you are a very, very talented filmmaker. But so yes, I love this film quite a bit. It is absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of great things that work really well about it, and I cannot believe, if you look at every single component, it coming together into full form, making a concise picture. So, I think if you're a horror fan and you like jump scare type of movies, I think you'll love this. I think if you love slow burn horror, really stuff that just kind of like elevates suspense and just kind of stacks on top of each other into like a really great climax, I think you'll like this. If you are a cinephile like me that just likes watching everything and dissecting everything, performances, technical stuff with the camera, editing, or the directing style, the substance of the film, I think you can find stuff to pick from with this one too. So if you like the horror genre, I think this will appeal to everyone that loves every single type of horror movie. So to jump into Leigh Whannell, because I do think that besides Elizabeth Moss, he is the absolute star of this film. And so, jumping into the script first, this is a film that's about psychological abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, the traumatization of someone in an abusive relationship. So even when they escape, it still follows them. And there's something kind of timely about that. Really kind of this modern, fresh approach to this story. And it's really kind of powerful because we live in a day and age now where people can blast people online for sexual harassment, rape, abuse in relationships. All that is out in the open, and people air their dirty laundry all the time on social media, and we see that as people. And so I feel like that's a really prevalent piece of subject matter to kind of take from and apply it to this horror film and have it be super effective like this. This film opens up with her escaping this relationship. We didn't even have to see him talk. We didn't even have to see him do anything, but you felt everything. You felt the terror that she's going through, the pain, the suffering, just from her face and the way she reacts just from looking at him. And, that kind of plays out through the entire film, and you feel like she can never escape this entity. You feel like she can never escape what she went through. And so having that theme of the abuser will always follow the abusee, even after death, and just able to kind of traumatize them like that. That's really powerful stuff. And so I really like that approach to the story because it's really effective on a dramatic level. And, just seeing the performance from Elizabeth Moss, and we'll get to more of that in just a second, but just seeing her performance and how she reacts to everything really sells this notion that this guy is just absolutely terrifying, and he is a real threat and villain throughout this entire film, and we don't even see him. This film also works on a horror level, like a horror suspenseful thriller. I'll go ahead and group all that together. A horror film in terms of like, this is a stalker picture. There are certain camera movements of like peeking around the corner, or like there's empty shots of nothing in the room, but you feel like there's something there. And so that kind of heightens this sense of dread and anxiety throughout this entire picture. So the suspense is building throughout each sequence when there's nothing there. And so you just feel uneasy, and just you feel like you can't escape this. Like you feel like you're stuck in this horrific situation and in this nightmare. And Leigh Whannell wants you to do that. He wants you to go along this journey and feel terrified, have your heart palpitate, and all that stuff. So it works in that regard, and it works as a science fiction film too. I won't go deep into it because it kind of dives into some of the spoiler stuff, but some of the science fiction stuff in dealing with technology and how it can get to these types of places is also terrifying, and how people can abuse that power and abuse science and technology to their own gain, and really make someone's life miserable. It's pretty wild. Once again, weaving in and all this stuff, but that is the story, and that's how complex the screenplay is. It also deals with characters that feel super relatable and like we can grasp onto, and I think this also helps that this is an underdog story too. You want Elizabeth Moss to defeat this evil. You want her to have a happier and healthier life beyond this. And so you want her to win. And you feel that like that triumphant like fist in the air when you leave the theater, like she did it. She can live her life now. So love the screenplay to this. Love all the different delicate themes and genres that he's kind of like weaving in and out. Really great stuff. To go to his directing style, if you guys have ever seen Upgrade or Insidious Chapter 3, this guy is no stranger to building tension. And the way he does that is he does it in the most simplest forms, but they're super effective. He deals a lot with making sure the cameras, the camera angles are wide and we can see a little bit of everything. So our eyes are wandering where this guy is. Or he does a lot of depth of field shots down hallways, so we see a lot of shadowy corners, or, things of that nature, to where we think that maybe that guy is in the shadows watching us, even though there's nothing there. It's the trickery of the eye that he likes to play with, and it really makes its point across and making you feel terrified. There's a lot of wonderful camera pans from left to right, just like super slowly, like revealing stuff, just building that dips in the sound design to where there's just nothing happening. We hear like maybe rustling or like maybe some footsteps or whatever, but it's not bogged down with like overly loud music or jump scares. Like, this is something that lets you soak in the atmosphere and the environment and makes you feel a part of this nightmare that Whannell wants you to go through. And he does that through slow burn, kind of revealing techniques with the camera and the editing to really just make it as simplistic and bare bones as possible. And that's why it is effective, because it's not overly produced with stuff to make you scared, like with noises, but it's just doing through authentic approaches to this invisible entity walking around, and it's just really, really well done. The performances are also out of the park. Elizabeth Moss, I've always said this. She is a great reactionary actress. If you watch The Handmaid's Tale, almost every single shot is a close-up of her reacting to something. And I know that's what acting is. It's action and reaction. But a lot of actors, they can deliver lines of dialogue, or they can kind of ping-pong back and forth in some scenes, but you can never really get a sense that their reaction is like as strong as it could be. And Elizabeth Moss is one of these actresses that can like react to whatever. So casting her in this movie is genius because she's reacting to nothing. So when you see her, start to tear up, or like her lip is quivering, or like you feel like she's fearful of her life. Like there's a scene where like she's sitting in a room and just like staring at the door, and she knows that he's standing there, and it'll flip back to the door and there's nothing there, but she sells it through her 100% pure authentic reactions and she's one of the best in the business when it comes to reactionary stuff. So casting her in this was genius, and her performance just gets better as it goes down the film. Everyone else is really really strong. Storm Reed is in this. Aldous Hodge. Quick little thing about Aldous Hodge. When I saw him in What Men Want for the first time, I was like, oh no, this guy's career is done. And then from that point on, I guess someone heard me, and like his movies have just been getting better and better. So thank you, Mr. Hodge. But yeah, he's really great, and this is great in this too. I really hope he does more horror films. Yeah, and everyone else just plays their part really well and just really, really convincing. Even a surprise performance I didn't even think would be worthwhile, which is the ex's brother. Really great performance from him too. He's the money lawyer that deals with the finances and stuff, and he's really convincing as well. But everyone does a fantastic job. Kind of reminds me of how like people like Lee Winnell or like Jordan Peele can just get all these great performances out of these actors in horror films and make them just stand out above the rest and not make them feel like, you know, they're just this film that doesn't matter, but like they really take care of these performances and get the best out of these actors, and I really like that. So Lee Winnell, keep doing your thing, man. You were great at pulling what you need to get out of these people. So, and then I mentioned cinematography and editing style. Production design is really great. It deals a lot with a very wealthy house and a very like suburban area. And I think they filmed in Australia. I think. There's some shots are obviously San Francisco, but I think they filmed in Australia. But it looks really nice, really pleasant to look at. I think to wrap this up, music. Music is really great. It's very disorienting. It's really like jarring and kind of like in your face, but it's not overly done. And it only comes out in a couple of spots throughout the movie that just it make you feel uneasy, and it makes it feel like something bad is about to happen when nothing's really happening, but the music is kind of like playing with your mind a little bit, so kind of like what her ex does and plays with her mind. So, but yeah, there's a lot to discuss about this movie, but I think to wrap it up, this is definitely the best film of the year so far. I just think as a big studio horror picture for very low budget, by the way, really utilizing practical approaches and minimal CGI and just really making the experience as effective as possible. That's why people are going to respond to this thing and really kind of praise it the way they do. I really have nothing bad to say. It's a watch it with a big crowd. I'm going to give it an A. So that's my review of The Invisible Man. A really interesting approach to the Universal monster movies. I think this is definitely the best one in terms of like modern adaptation. So there's that. So let me know what you thought of The Invisible Man down below. And please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can get up to dates on whatever I review and all that stuff. So that will do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.